Some stories are just fun. You get colorful heroes, big fights, and everyone goes home happy. But then there are the other stories, the ones that draw a line in the sand, the ones that don't just entertain, they split the entire fan base right down the middle. Today, we're diving into one of the most controversial comics DC ever published, a story that nearly 2 decades later people are still fighting about.
And this quote right here, "This isn't my Justice League anymore." Man, that just says it all, doesn't it? This was the gut reaction from so many readers. Because this comic, it wasn't just another murder mystery. It was a reckoning. It forced everyone to stop and ask, who are our heroes, really? What are they willing to do when we're not looking? And at what point do you, the reader, just say, enough?
All right, so to really get why Identity Crisis was such a bomb going off in the comics world, we gotta rewind. Let's set the stage and go back to 2004. The comics industry was a battlefield, and let's just say DC was feeling the heat. At the time, Marvel was absolutely on fire. They were putting out books like Ultimate Spider-Man and New X-Men that just felt so cool, so fresh and modern. Meanwhile, over at DC, look, they have the icons, right? Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the big guns, but they were kind of struggling to feel relevant. They desperately needed a game changer, something huge that would grab everyone's attention. And their big solution? It wasn't going to be another giant cosmic crossover. Nope, they did something completely different. They went outside the usual comic circle and brought in a best-selling suspense novelist, Brad Meltzer. His pitch was simple, and it was absolutely chilling. What if we stop treating the Justice League like gods and start treating them like subjects in a dark, grounded murder mystery? A mystery that would expose their deepest, ugliest secrets. And that brings us to the crime that started it all. And let me tell you, this wasn't some hero dying gloriously in battle. No, this was different. This felt deeply, horribly personal, both for the characters in the story and for everyone reading it. The story opens with the murder of Sue Dibny. Now, this is so crucial. She wasn't a superhero. She wasn't a supervillain. She was an innocent, a beloved member of the superhero community's extended family. So her death, right on the first few pages, was an absolute gut punch. See, for years and years, Sue and her husband Ralph, the elongated man, they were the comic relief. They were this loving, kind of goofy, lighthearted couple in a world full of grim vigilantes. So to have her killed, and killed so brutally, it didn't just feel like a plot twist. It felt genuinely cruel. It was a clear signal to every single reader that the old rules were officially out the window. So the heroes start investigating Sue's murder, trying to find the killer. But what they uncover is, well, it's way more disturbing than a simple whodunit. It's a dark secret that the Justice League themselves had been hiding for years, a secret that would tarnish their shiny reputations forever. And this is where things just go completely off the rails. We see this horrifying moral spiral. It all started years earlier, with a truly awful crime against Sue. The League's response at the time? They vote to use magic to alter the villain's mind, to basically lobotomize him. But it gets worse. Batman finds out and objects, saying this is a line they can never cross. So what do? They vote to wipe his memory too. And even that wasn't the end of it. It's revealed they secretly kept doing it to other villains. Suddenly, our greatest heroes, the paragons of morality, are at the center of a massive, ugly cover-up. So this reveal, the fact that the Justice League wasn't just fighting bad guys, but was secretly manipulating their minds, and even the minds of their own friends, that is what truly ripped the audience in two. This was the moment that sparked a debate that, I'm not kidding, is still raging on internet forums today. The fanbase basically split into two opposing camps, with almost no middle ground. On one side, you had readers who were saying, this is brilliant. It's brave, it's adult storytelling. It adds realism and shows that heroes are flawed. But on the other side, you had fans who were furious, calling it a complete betrayal of the characters that relied on cheap shock value. For them, whatever this was, it just wasn't heroism. The criticism went even deeper, though. Sue's death was immediately held up as a textbook example of a really ugly trope called fridging. That's the term for when a female character is brutalized or killed just to give a male hero some emotional motivation, to advance his story. For many, it felt like her character was sacrificed not for a meaningful story, but just as a cheap plot device. But here's the wild twist in all this. Despite all the critical outrage, the fan anger, the endless debates, the comic's sales went through the roof. It completely dominated the conversation, and it became obvious that all the controversy was actually fueling its success. And you can bet the people at DC Comics took notice. From all the noise, the anger, and the arguments, they learned a very specific, very powerful lesson. And that lesson was simple. Darkness sells. And that success, that lesson learned, it wasn't just a one-off thing. Oh no. It ended up setting the tone, casting this long, dark shadow over the entire DC universe for nearly a decade to come. You can literally trace a direct line. The grim tone of Identity Crisis led straight into Infinite Crisis a year later, which was even more violent. From there, you get Final Crisis, which presented this really cynical, broken vision of the heroes. And this all culminated in the 2011 reboot, The New 52, which completely remade the DC universe with a much darker, edgier sensibility. The path really did start right here. So the lasting impact was just profound. It shattered the trust that fans had in their heroes being these morally untouchable figures. It exposed this huge divide between readers who wanted those mature, complex stories and those who just wanted classic, inspirational heroism. And really, for better or for worse, it forced a referendum on what a superhero comic was even supposed to be in the modern era. Which brings us right back to the question that's still being debated all these years later. Was Identity Crisis a bold evolution that proved comics could tackle complex adult themes? Or was it a fundamental betrayal of the characters we all grew up loving? The answer? Well, that still depends entirely on which side of the line you're standing on.